So, good morning, good morning. Early Thursday morning here in Vancouver. I know it's later on in the east for all of the Eastern time zoners, and there's more of you than there are of us, right? Sonia and I so far are the only ones from the Pacific time zone. And this is such an exciting call. This is a consultants only call, so you cannot just post this out there. And Michael has agreed to do it for us. And we know how excellent he is with his engineering background at putting things together and showing us how things work. And this is specifically this morning for the Canada expansion team, Team Canada expansion, that I am uh, coaching for the next at least 3 months, if not a whole year. I'm planning to do this for a year, so it depends who wants to go past the end of the first quarter here. Well, which is actually what, Michael, our third quarter? Yeah, wow. Anyway, this is all about show me the money, right, Michael?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So anybody have any questions before we get started? All good. We're all settled in and we're gonna stop moving around once we're settled in.
Sorry.
And keep your cameras on though, because we want to be able to see you. Okay, so take
Should
it
we
away,
mute?
Michael.
Should we mute,
All right.
Michael?
No, you don't have to, but if something comes up by way of an important question or something, let's address it since this is being recorded. I probably will make this slide presentation available as a PDF, so it won't have all the moving parts, only because I believe what you need and what you're looking for and what's necessary in this next chapter is a system for duplication. And I want to define what I mean by that. There's different phases in the journey of a Nikken consultant. And so oftentimes they need to be recruited and re-recruited. And in fact, the rhythm of the business is a staged sequence of events, each one growing in size and depth so that you can move a mind from dabbling in Nikken to committing to a launch in Nikken to committing to building a team in Nikken to nurturing and growing themselves personally and helping coach and develop other leaders on their team. Those are stages in the evolution of the mind of a Nikken consultant, and they don't happen organically for a lot of people. We are programmed in a pyramidal system from our educational background, our education background. You go from kindergarten to grade one, from grade one to grade two, etc. So we are programmed to move and advance in our understanding. We don't do it naturally, or we don't do it systematically, I should say. So when you provide people with something that has structure, especially if it involves their personal development as an entrepreneur in Nikken over a period of time, then what you have is a greater probability of people advancing in rank and achieving success as individuals and as teams. And so this presentation forms a component of that educational process in their sequence of events that lead them into becoming a professional business builder. One of the backbones of our business. Oh, so let me just define the rhythm for a second. Um, so on a daily basis, we are converting people that we meet and know or prospect. We're turning them from a name on a list or an interaction into an interested prospect. That's the daily activity. So that should be happening every day on the order of 2 to 5 prospects per day, depending on your level of involvement. The next phase in the journey is that prospect that is now interested needs to be educated about Nikken. So we invite them to learn about Nikken, which we refer to as the partnering process. Those 3 conversations that help them learn how Nikken can actually be a solution to their needs, their why, which was the first conversation, which converts them from prospect to interested prospect. Then comes the how, and that helps them understand what path Nikken could fill for them, whether it's the business or as being an enthusiast of the products, being an advocate of the products, or being a business builder, community builder. Those are the three things that they learn about as to how they can embrace Nikken in their life in the how conversation. That should happen every week. So you should bring every interested prospect to conclusion on a weekly basis as to which path they choose, and to help initiate the business builder, to help them make that real commitment to launching their business. There needs to be the what conversation. What does it take to get started if I'm serious about doing this as a business? That is the next level. So we get a lot of people who join Nikken but have not had that conversation, and therefore they approach Nikken randomly or to the best of the ability of their sponsor, which is not necessarily systematic or programmed. But if it was part of the institution of how we educate and evolve their understanding of Nikken, you would have an opportunity for them to plug into some type of a presentation that helps them understand the fundamentals of the business building side of Nikken. And that's this presentation here, which is the business launch. It's often in the past been called the career plan and launch strategy. Essentially, it is a strategy for gearing up and getting your business going in a serious way. And there is a conclusion in mind. This launch strategy is to help somebody achieve the rank of silver by automatic, but by just virtue of executing this launch, and setting them up for gold, if not achieving gold in the 90 days that this really entails. So it's really about getting people who are on the launch pad, who are on the verge of being on the launch pad, to understand the commitment over the next 90 days to execute a plan, an exercise with their sponsor and their upline, out of which comes some great rewards. The advancement in rank to silver, of course, the bonuses that they earn along the way, and most importantly, is the development of a small team where they now are not alone in Nikken. And there's this question of, do we go wide? Do we go deep? There's been some conversations about taprooting, which is going straight down. And the answer is you do both. But which one comes first? And the answer is this comes first. You first put enough people on the scoreboard, and from that, you decide who you're going deep with, who you're launching next. That's how that works. And then they would go through the same exercise, which is a launch. And so you would develop a second level silver by launching them. And it's the launch itself, it's the activity in the launch that creates the silvership. It's just simply sheer volume that produces the result. And it comes from a volume of activity that's done in a short period of time. If you are educated on building this business, dibbling and dabbling, what I call cooking one noodle of spaghetti at a time, you're going to be left with a cold plate of pasta and not a lot of excitement. And a lot of people, they approach this business with that approach in mind, that, I'll just do it on the side. I'll do it a little bit at a time, and I'll, sponsor somebody every now and then, and I'll talk to somebody every now and then. That, in my opinion, is not a business. That's a hobby, and it doesn't reward like a business. It rewards like a hobby, and most hobbies actually cost money. They don't make money. So this is why this part of the education is important, is so that we create expectations that are understood and appreciated by the person looking at Nikken as a viable business option, and they learn what it takes to actually develop this as a business and to duplicate this as a business. So imagine you had a recipe for baking a cake. It's a great recipe. It's been handed down through time. It was your great grandmother's, and then when it became your grandmother's, and it became your mother's, and now it's yours to do with. Now, if you follow the recipe, you're going to get the same result because that's what they've taught you. If you change the recipe, even one ingredient, you change the result. And so that's the key to having a duplicatable plan, is you don't change the recipe. Now, the results may vary. That's the way it is with every cake you bake. There may be some, I don't know, change in humidity outside or something can affect the outcome. But at the end of the day, you follow the same recipe. And so this has been a recipe that I have been handing down since the late 90s. Why? Because this concept has produced the biggest launches in Nikken history, helping people achieve the rank of platinum. There's more to it, but this is the fundamentals of it in a period of 90 days. And in that time, platinum was 60,000 points. That was six silvers. So, or excuse me, six silvers, which could be 120,000 points over those 90 days, all happening within a 1 month's time, building up to that. So its potential is huge if followed stringently. I don't expect people to follow it stringently because most people are first timers at it. But if you develop yourself and your ability to do this over and over and over again, and you'll experience it through different people you're launching each time, you'll see the recipe has a consistency to it. The results have some degree of consistency to them as well. And now what you have is a more predictable way of building your business rather than being, throw enough mud on the wall and hope something sticks, which is not really a profession. And you can't really have a lot of confidence in that. So with this approach, I became super confident in my ability to help somebody crack through silver. It wasn't their objective, it was my objective for them as a sponsor. So this is the recipe I, as a sponsor, use to launch somebody new. I don't expect them to understand it all. I expect them just to be excited and to put enough people in front of me in the short period of time that this calls for, so that the results are the same. After which, when they have achieved the rank of silver or gold, I'll then show them what it was like from my perspective launching them. So that's the next transition. They go from being the person being launched to the person understanding all the protocols I followed to make that launch a success as a sponsor, as an upline. And now they become aware of what they were not aware of, which is what I was doing in the background, or what I was orchestrating, or what I was creating as an expectation, that they can then now duplicate with the next person in line. In other words, it's kind of like going from being the passenger in the passenger seat of a car, somebody's driving it, in this case, the sponsor, to the person behind the wheel, and all of a sudden they have to drive the car. One thing to be a passenger in the car, it's another thing to be the person driving the car and being instructed from the back seat what are the turns they have to make, where do they have to go, etc. So those are the various transitions. Once somebody has gained that understanding, even the last one, which is to move into the back seat and become the coach, you've gained 3 levels of understanding. 1 is the passenger experience, 2, the driver experience, and 3, the coach coaching the driver who's new behind the wheel. Those is what I call 3 degrees of awareness. That is mastery in this business, because you become somebody who's very proficient at helping people launch. And then all you are looking for all the time is the candidate. Who's the candidate to launch? And this goes to the next level, which is, what's your strategy for the next 3 months? What's your strategy for the next 6 months? That's a perspective that someone has at a higher level of commitment, at a higher level of appreciation for what this business is all about. So I'm giving you a lot of context, a lot of background to understand why this simple presentation becomes an important factor in a duplicatable process if you're looking to develop leaders with some degree of consistency. And your education so far, most of you on this call know that it's really about creating silvers. And the more silvers that you have who are operating independently of you creates the income stream that you're looking for, that residual or that passive or that reproductive or whatever you want to call it, that income that happens independently of you. And so building silvers is the nature of the business. It's creating that place where somebody feels they've got more than one foot in the door, where they got kind of both feet in the door. And we recognize them when they make that achievement, and they start becoming much more profitable. And so now they're starting to get, maybe Nikken is a little bit more than what I thought. Maybe it's more than a hobby. Maybe there's really something to this. and then they're ready to get on with it, which is gold, platinum, diamond, royal diamond. So again, this is a window into the engineering behind why this presentation was put together and how it plays a role in the development going forward of a network. So the first thing I start with this presentation is a recap. I remind them of what they've seen already. So if you've been on the Tuesday night presentation, you've seen this slide, you know that what we're looking to identify is where they or anybody fits into this as a customer, as a consultant, or as a community builder, an entrepreneur. And that's defined by the terminology that Nikken has given us, which is wellness seeker, wellness enthusiast, and wellness entrepreneur. So those are the three ways a person can engage with Nikken. And we appreciate all three. And we have a strategy for all three. For customers, we have a follow-up strategy. The goal, obviously, is to not only help them get initiated into Nikken, but to build a Nikken wellness home and to maintain that wellness home through AutoShip. So the goal at the end of the day is to build a community of people who are using Nikken products, creating a wellness home and using them on a monthly basis to support that wellness home. No different than when you buy a house and you got to pay a water bill or a hydro bill or an internet bill. That's how you maintain your home. Well, in Nikken, how we maintain our wellness home is through AutoShip. That's a maintenance program. And then, of course, the rolling out of new products helps to increase and enlarge our exposure in the marketplace and into that home of different products. That's our business plan as a organization. Our plan is to penetrate the market with Nikken technology, create every home a wellness home, and keep that wellness home supported for now and forever so that the inhabitants of that home are given the best possibility for rest, recovery, and energy, vitality. Got that? That's the long and short of it. So they would have seen most of this in that first presentation, which we're doing on Tuesday, and that's a Better Way presentation. So this is a recap. So now let's go into the plan. Again, they've seen this slide, and this slide reminds them that they're coming from a place more than likely as an employee or somebody who's self-employed trading time for money. And what we need to do is help them transition to somebody who actually appreciates the value of a system, learns how to leverage that system and duplicate to create multiple streams of income, which is people that they enroll in Nikken that choose one of three ways to get involved in Nikken. So these are the three ways: as the retail model, the small business model, the networking model. Again, I'm just doing this as a recap for you. And this is what I would do with somebody if I had the opportunity to present this presentation. I'd give them a recap because it's important that we're on the same page before we move to the next page. That we gather up. And I tell you this because a lot of times I get people coming to an ABC call and they haven't had the first presentation. So a lot of this doesn't make sense to them. And that's why it's important they're sequential, because if they don't have sufficient background, you can't turn the page. You can't move to the next level of their awareness. So it's really important that your system is systematic, that it follows. So let's go on. We've seen all these things. You've seen the fundamentals. Let me start with this capture right here. This apple talks about a seed. The seed in the apple is what allows for more apples to be born by creating a tree. The seed creates a tree that creates more apples. Without that seed, all we have is an apple. We can consume it and then it's done. But because that apple has a seed in it, it has the potential to be replicated, which gives us an endless possibility of being fed. So in this model, we have a seed. Same thing. If all we're doing is being fed, it's the customers. But if we have a seed in the apple, the three seeds in the apple are the partners that we enroll. They have the potential to go and create more customers, to go and create more apples with seeds. So this is why this is important to understand, that it doesn't require somebody to go and do a lot of heavy lifting forever. This is not a job. It's creating an asset where the asset itself has seeds. that the asset itself can grow other assets. Not too many people have that kind of a business, where their business can replicate itself if properly motivated and inspired. So that's what makes this business so incredible, because you just don't know what the potential is as people enroll. And yet we have to do something that's basic and that everybody can follow. So it's this core circle of influence. And where does that core circle of influence it comes from? It comes from the activity that you do with your sponsor, your coach, and your upline. So it's not something we expect somebody to go out and do on their own. Again, a system requires a system for executing the system. And the system for executing the system, the activities, is your upline. And that we call that the ABC. So the ABC system is what we use to leverage and help us build our core circle of influence that we will then compound by duplicating. And so that's the core behind the entire business model. And there's a little bit of background noise. Are you getting that?
No.
Okay. So this is important for somebody to know, because why do we want them to know? We keep telling them they're not going to do this alone, that they're not in this alone. So here now we're explaining to them, you're in a position right now, as of today, to actually do this. Why? Because you don't have to know everything we know. You just have to know somebody you want to share this with. That's all you need to know. And you have to be excited about sharing with it. And you kind of have to know where you're going, why you're sharing it. And if you have that, then all you have to do is introduce them to us, which is the process, the system, and the rest can be handled by us. The education, the information, the flow of information can be directed by somebody who's more aware of what it takes, the three conversations. So that's core to the conversation. Otherwise, if you don't get that in early in the process, what do? They go out, start running around telling everybody in the world. They sound like a fool. Most people don't trust or believe what they're saying. They don't trust and believe what they're saying. They don't have that level of belief yet. And so it comes crashing down and they quit. And then we call back, or they don't follow up, or whatever. Why? Because the sponsor did not take responsibility for giving them the proper information, which is, don't go telling anybody until you're ready. And let's get you ready first, because we're going to do this together. Now, the money. Let me roll this thing out. So that core, what does it become? Let's just say for time's sake, we have a way of creating that core. Let's say it's a 30 to 90 day launch window, and out of those 30 to 90 days of activity, depending on someone's level of commitment, is 30 to 90 days. We create that core nucleus. We find 5 customers who are real enthusiasts about Nikken products, to the degree that they actually buy not a mag step, not a necklace, but whatever it is that you recommended they buy. So we'll talk about that momentarily. So basically, the people who go on this list, on this map, on this core, are not just people. The people who actually were influenced by you. That's why we call it a core circle of influence. They were influenced by you and your team to take certain action to get going in Nikken, either as a customer or as a consultant. And the basic action that we're looking for is a purchase of products. And so part of the culture that you're going to replicate, that you have to make a decision on, is, what are you going to influence them to buy? That's got to be already scripted before you talk to anybody. You got to know what you're going to influence them to buy, because there's a lot of products. There's a lot of products to learn, and you don't have time to learn and experience it all. So best you get a core product grouping together that you're comfortable promoting and advertising, and that becomes the thing you promote. So that's part of the core circle of influence, is what is it you're influencing them to do? It's not just to join Nikken. Anybody can join Nikken. That doesn't turn into anything. It's the it's the beginning of their wellness journey, their wellness home, which has a beginning and no ending, which means there's a product involved or a grouping of products that you've recommended that they take action on. You may have way more customers and way more people that you sponsor. We're counting on it. But that's not what we're looking for to be on this grid. This grid is the core circle of influence. Only the people who have been influenced to take the actions you've recommended. Okay, so now we'll get to that strategy, by the way. How many people does that take to find our core nucleus? We'll see that in a minute. Now, what happens is because it is your core, and then because they have been influenced by you, and because now your partners, these three over here, have been through this presentation and have made a decision to launch their business in the same way you have, even if it's just one of them this month and one next month, however the order is, maybe it's all three. What happens when it's all three is you group the activities. When you have more than one person launching, you group the activities typically. So instead of having three individual presentations, you might have one where all three show up with their people. Okay, that's how you manage the events with time. So here's what happens. They launch, and the goal is to help them create each of their core circles of influence. That's your goal. Your focus is on them. 99%, almost entirely, goes on duplication. Because we're not in it for the short haul. We're in it for the long haul. Because if you have duplication and it's successful, you have a self-replicating business that will pay you for decades, like it has me. But if you're only in it for the short haul, all you're looking for is that quick sale, you'll take your focus on the prize, which is the building of the network. Okay? So this core group here that you're seeing, that's you with 3 partners and 5 customers who've enrolled 9 who have their own 5 customers. That group there has generated more than $6,000 or 6,000 points in volume, which means it is structured in such a way that you've achieved the rank of silver, not just once, every single month. Why? Because this is based on 100 CV of volume going through each of those homes every month. What's 100 CV of volume? Well, it's auto ship, essentially. Think about what products would constitute 100 CV of volume. Which would you consider the core nutrition pack, which should be part of your core influence. So there's, again, the culture. This goes back to the culture that you're going to duplicate. It's a core way to get started, and it's a core support system. What's your core nutrition? What's your core launch packs? So now, at 6,000 points in volume on a monthly basis, that produces, again, a core group of people who are excited, interested, and committed. What's the focus now? You and your 3 partners focus on the next generation. Again, why? Because duplication is the prize. Duplication is the prize. What comes from duplication is consumers who consume because they're being influenced and they're experiencing, and what they're experiencing influences them even more. And we have a whole system that they can plug into, such as a brand night, where they can learn more about the products and get more excited about them. So as this duplicates, now that business, that whole nucleus of people, you, your first generation, your second generation, that's producing over 15,000 in volume monthly, based on that core nucleus following some type of a path that you have recommended and that they've adhered to. Same thing next generation. Same thing next generation. Same thing next generation. This could be a 5-6 year plan. But since we get paid on the volume that's being created by this organization, the big prize is not just the volume you get paid on in creating the organization, which is substantial. So there's 2 forms of income here. The income that you get paid to build it. It's like building a skyscraper. If you're the contractor, you get paid to build it. But the income that you get paid because it was built, the consumption, that's like the owner of the skyscraper who has rental space. You get paid every month. So you get paid to build it, and you get paid because it was built on the ongoing consumption, which is what you're seeing here, that volume. And I'm going to show you an illustration coming up as to the difference between how much you get paid to build it and how much you can get paid to maintain it. Okay, I'll show you that example. But let's just look at this alone. You've built it. It's taken you a month, 5 months, a year, 6 years, however far you've gotten into this equation. But here's your blueprint. You don't need another plan. This plan is good enough, because if you look at the income, which is 6% of the volume, you now have a path for helping somebody to create anywhere from a few $100s a month to thousands of dollars a month. It's the same blueprint, it's the same plan, it's the same path. And where did it all begin? With the core nucleus, with the core circle of influence being duplicated. Now, when people see that, they think, okay, I could probably get that done. It's not so daunting a task. If I can get that done and the ingredients are correct, then it should replicate if we exercise duplication and we have a system to follow and to plug people into. So this should grow organically if we're teaching people how to do this. And who are we teaching? The people who want a real income, a real business, the people who want to do Nikken for real. All the rest is gravy. All the other stuff that you're going to get out of this, the random customers, the random people who join, do random volume, whatever, that's over and above this. That's just the random stuff that happens in the business. But this is the calculated stuff. This is what we're actually working toward. And our eye is on this. And if we all know the law of attraction, you have to see it first before you can attract it. You got to see it in your mind. Putting it on paper or on the screen helps. And now you have a path, a plan, a way to focus your attention and your communications. You're always inviting people to be on this map, because this map is very profitable. It's always an invitation. So when I said to you there are stages of recruitment, I may be recruiting a silver who's been a silver for 5 years to go beyond silver. How do I recruit or re-recruit people who have not yet made the next leap, who've not yet turned the page to the next chapter? I have to create opportunities for them to become inspired. Could be life circumstances that change in their life, and now they're ready to listen. Have you had any of that? All of a sudden, something changes in somebody's life, and now they're saying, you know, that Nikken thing, maybe I should look at it again. Happens every single day, Nikken. So there needs to be opportunities for people to be invited back to recommit or to re-engage or to re-educate themselves to learn there is a path, but they're going to be given the same path. So now that meeting could be a monthly meeting, which is usually the meeting. It's a monthly meeting that we have that's really by design, targeting people who are already in Nikken who've not yet made the decision to move to the next level, to turn the page. So every month, so we got every day turning people into interested prospects. Every week turning those interested prospects into either a customer or a distributor, and then finishing that week by qualifying the distributor as either a consultant or as an active partner who's going to be the next person to launch. That's the process of a week. Now, to get that active person to commit and to really commit, they need to make a solid decision. And so every month we have an event, whether it's online or in person, as part of the rhythm, the sole purpose of which is to help people in Nikken make a decision to move to the next level of commitment, which could be the next rank. That's the monthly. Then we have a quarterly. The quarterly is really targeted at a higher level. This is now looking at people who are maybe gold and have been gold for a while and haven't made the commitment or the moves yet to get beyond that. And so we want to help them advance to platinum. And so that would be the focus of that monthly. Every event is an opportunity to expose somebody, anybody, but there's always a focus in every event. That's the rhythm. And then the semi-annual, or in this case, the annual event, which is the Nikken Boss event. What is that event for? Who's that event for? Well, look at who's invited and what is the level of commitment to be at that event. I mean, you got to be on an airplane. You got to travel across the country. You got to put up costs for a hotel and so forth. So that's not just for anybody. It's for the person who wants to take their business to the next level, who's already got a business and really wants to move it to the next level. So each of these events are staged to expand the awareness, to create a deeper commitment to execute a strategy to launch or to grow their business to the next level. So that's what we refer to as the rhythm of the business. Okay. I mentioned, how does this money keep coming in month after month after month after month if we've already built it? And the answer is the recurring income engine. This is it. Every wellness home has a beginning and no end. So they start their wellness home with some initial startup products, which you are going to recommend as part of your culture of duplication, and the ongoing monthly support, which you are going to recommend as part of your culture for your business. And then, of course, there's the upgrades. There's the things that they want to add that they don't have, and the additional users in the home, like children and whatever. And then there's the Nikken product launches, which creates, again, more opportunity for this cycle to repeat. So, and Nikken's been successful at it. 50 years in business is a good indication that this actually works. So now let's get to the brass tacks. Where do we begin? Now, everybody knows people. And I like to tell people, just go to your contacts on your phone, scroll to the bottom, tell me how many names are on it. It'll tell you how many people are in your contact list. Everybody knows people. And that's where the business begins. It begins with the people we know. Not a single Nikken Diamond or Royal Diamond has built a Diamond or Royal Diamond business by not knowing people. They knew somebody, and those people know people, and so on and so forth. So your initial contact list is just that. It's the initial list. Your contact list will be something that, as a professional, you continue to add to. People you meet, people you engage with on social media, etc., people who are referred to you. Those are just names that go on your contact list, which is an opportunity now for you to approach in some meaningful way. So your contact list starts with the people you know. I like to refer to two actual recordings, your basic training on how to contact and invite people on your list. There's this audio, video, contact and invite by me, and there's one by my daughter called Contact and Invite by the Sovereign Life team. Contacting, and I don't know, I'll give you the name after, but it's Sovereign Life. Look for Sovereign Life Contact and Invite, and that is probably an even better one. So the education on how to actually approach people we know is important. In fact, this is the single most important skill you could ever learn in Nikken. Nothing else is more important than this particular skill. Because if you remember, we're turning contacts into interested contacts. The very first step, which is a daily rhythm, feeds the entire rhythm. And if that gets broken, if the first step gets broken, the rhythm gets broken. And you don't have people going silver and people going gold and people going platinum. That first step is the most critical. So it is very, very important that we focus our education with new people, especially on this and this alone. Because if they're excited about contacting people, which this shows them how to get excited about it, it's very friendly, very personal, and personal. And so this approach will cause them excitement and enthusiasm to actually reach out to their list. And this was all learned, by the way. This was actually all learned years and years ago. And not only was it learned, it was field tested. And get the number, this number on a field test in a third party company produced 85% conversion, meaning 85% of the people who were contacted and invited this way committed to a meeting, committing to the next step. So I wouldn't be random about the approach. I would be very specific about it. And that's why we have an education. And that's the sole education I really focus on. So we start with our contact list. And from that contact list, there you can see on it, there's a way of rating people. That's part of the education, is who gets to be contacted first and in what way. Are we going to talk to them as about being partners? Or are we going to talk to them about being potentially customers? In other words, partners are approached differently than customers, potential customers. This is really interesting. It's almost counterintuitive. We ask partners for their help, whereas for potential customers, we offer them help to resolve a particular issue where their health is concerned. But partners, we're actually inviting them to help us build something, build a business that has tremendous rewards. Think about it this way. Whoever it was that decided to build the skyscraper, they had the vision for it. And what did they do? They found the people to help them build it. Everything from architects and engineers to the contractors, subcontractors, to every trade there is, including financiers, the people who are going to fund the initial project. And then they found the salespeople to sell the thing along the way so they can finish it. There's a lot of people involved in building a skyscraper, but it all started with one person making a decision to do that. That could be you making a decision to build a huge Nikken business. You're going to need help. You're going to need partners. So you're going to request help, and you're going to show them why it's worth their time and energy in helping you, because there is a payoff. And of course, for every contractor, there's a payoff. Now, in this case, that payoff could be more than just a one-time pay. It could be an ongoing passive or residual income, recurring income, because they helped you build something that actually pays more than once. And that's all part of the invitation. It's part of the explanation, et cetera, that they're going to get. Whereas for customers, you might just find that there's somebody that needs something that we have to offer, better sleep, for instance, or they just want to feel good every day. We have products that can help people feel good every day. For sure, for sure. So there's two approaches, and we learn those two approaches in the contact and invite, how to be specific about that. And then through this exercise of qualifying our leads beforehand, we determine whether or not they're the people we want to talk to about being a partner or being a customer. And you might say, well, wait a minute. If I got people who are like 10 out of 10, they're like the people I really would love to have join this business, but I'm afraid to talk to them. Again, go back to the invitation, contact and invite, learn how to make that initial call, that initial invitation, because you're not going to do the heavy lifting here. The heavy lifting is going to be your partners who are going to do the presenting and informing. And they're going to realize, A, you're not alone, and B, that the information is fascinating. And all we've ever asked them to do in the first place was to learn. We didn't ask them to join. We didn't say they have to do anything, just to commit to learn, because we're inviting them to partner with us. So this process is very clear, very defined, and works. And the process is we find out what it is that they really want out of life, personally, economically, what's their vision for the future. We show them how Nikken is a possible solution through what Nikken offers, revolutionary products, a business system that allows them to leverage time and efforts of others independent of their time. And then what it takes to actually get this thing going, the strategy, the process, and the tools that are available to make it easy and duplicatable, resulting in them making a decision. By the way, this is the conversation we're in right now. The what conversation. So you can see why this conversation becomes important. How is somebody going to make a commitment to a business they don't understand. What is the business? How does it work? What is the process? What are the tools? They come from a different environment. And so this is kind of me taking them to the water cooler and showing them where they get water, and the coffee station where they get coffee, and the desk where they're going to sit at, and the computer they're going to work on. And that's what this is like. It's an orientation, which is why we used to call this strategy and orientation session. They get an orientation here. As I mentioned earlier, the ABCs, this is the opportunity for them to be introduced and meet people who are your partners already. And if somebody's going to be a partner in your business, it would be important to them that they knew who your partners were. You don't want to be hooked up with crooks or scammers or whatever. But when they meet your partners and they realize your partners are legit and they have great stories and they're personable and they really are passionate, that gets them further enrolled in the investigation. So use ABCs at all opportunities. So now, is there any questions, by the way, so far? Does anybody have any questions about this? It's making sense, right? So let's just flip that process on its axis and show you what is the strategy that we overlay, because now we got to move from the process. In other words, whether I'm doing this one noodle at a time, one prospect at a time, the process is unchanging. Those three conversations have to happen, and they have to happen in that order. Why, how, what? You can't change the order, or you change the recipe. So now that we understand what it is that I'm informing someone, the process I'm taking them through, which is the one you've been through, now the question is, okay, so this launch strategy, this campaign that we're going to ask them to commit to, what is that about? What does that look like? Well, since we know what it takes to inform somebody who knows nothing about Nikken, just a contact on your names list, to somebody who would consider being a partner, where they have enough information because they've been given the why, the how, and the what, we're asking them to make a decision to launch, to be part of this campaign. That's what it is that we're asking for. If we don't know what we're going to ask somebody, we don't know what we need to share with them. So what we need to share with them, if all we're asking them is to join, they don't need to know how to launch. We just ask them to join. And most people, their focus is, because they have not gone through this presentation and they don't understand the importance of the end in mind, they're just asking them to join Nikken and buy some products. And it stops there. They become a customer or distributor, no duplication. It ends there. Or random duplication, very, very non-planned. So what is it that I'm looking for in my partners? I'm looking to educate them so that they're prepared to make a commitment. These are the three things that I'm asking them to commit to. I'm asking them to commit some time. Not a lot, but some, with some degree of consistency. So they're going to have to make room for Nikken in their calendar. I'm asking them to commit, especially for the first 90 days. After that, we can renegotiate. But the first 90 days are critical. Then comes the money. Again, not a lot, but some. There's some money involved in purchasing the products. That's essentially all that it is that's involved. Most of our tools are digital now. Most of our applications are digital, so there's not a lot of investing in money on those. It's just the products. And then lastly is contacts. The most important thing that they're bringing to the table is their contacts, which you could also say their reputation. So before somebody is prepared to invest any time or any money or their reputation, they got to know some things about this. They got to know why they would even entertain this. If they don't have a motive, your motive isn't their motive. Their motive is their motive. You need to know what that is. And they need to know what that is. That's the why. They need to know how this works, how Nikken has a valid, viable solution to solving the problem. And then what is the level of commitment required in order to succeed, to actually achieve what they're after? They got to know those three things before they're prepared to say, yes, I'm in. I'm all in. So most people never complete this process who don't understand what they're after. I'm focused on finding partners because that's the prize. The core nucleus is the prize, the people who want the benefits of a Nikken business that pays on and on and on. But for that person to even remotely understand this or be willing to make the commitment, they need to have the information. And this is the information they need to have. So, recap, a contact becomes an interested contact in the why conversation. That should happen every day. An interested contact becomes either a customer or a consultant. That happens every week following how Nikken can solve their problem. An example of the presentation that would do that is the presentation that happens on Tuesday night in the Rhythm. That presentation, A Better Way, and any of the supporting information that you provide them, your website, anything that they're asking that could support. Leo has, for instance, a number of links that he would share with people. That gives them the how, an understanding the fundamentals of how the Nikken opportunity can actually roll into a result that they're after. And then the what is, what are the nuances? What does it take for me to get started and to get this business off the ground? Because every business requires liftoff. I don't care whether it's a restaurant, a dry cleaner, any business. It requires some degree of a launch, a liftoff. And usually and mostly people who are in a small business scenario rely on friends and family to get their business off the ground. That is not uncommon. That's the gig economy. That's how it starts before they take it to the next level and turn into a professional. So there's our process. We have our ABCs ready and willing and able to go. So make sure you know who your A's are, your sponsor, your upline. Make sure you make that acquaintance and let them know what your intentions are, because they're going to be much more eager to be on a call and be ready to take a call from you if they know you have intentions. Trust me, I'm one of those people, and that's how I operate. Now, every now and then, as I said, we need a reason to kickstart somebody, to really knock that thing through the field goal. And that's the big event, typically that monthly call. As I said, that call by design is to help people make the final decision. I'm going to move from being just a consultant in Nikken to being an active partner, somebody who's in the game, on the field, playing to win. And since we have a number of consultants who've not yet made that decision, they need the opportunity every now and then to be re-invited and re-invited. That's that monthly event. But if we have that event scheduled in our calendar and we use that event as part of this process, what we know is by the end of the month, we will have identified a partner, provided we have enough people in this pipeline, in this funnel. So what is enough people? Well, if we're in a launch, what we're looking for is our core circle of influence right here. So what am I looking for in my core circle of influence? My prime candidates, which are partners. Partners also enable me to earn the We Accelerate bonus. So this makes the exercise profitable. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for 3 partners. So there's the formula. There's the recipe. We're looking for 3 partners. Our launch is to identify 3 partners. The sooner the better. If we do this in 30 days, we're going to get some pretty big results. And usually 9 out of 10 times a person's going to go silver if they do this. Almost 100% of the time, almost. So if you want a plan to help somebody achieve the rank of silver, with that not being their goal but yours, their goal is to find their partners. They're not in it for them to go silver. They're in it to build a business, which means to identify and attract partners. But you, as a sponsor, as a responsible sponsor, you want them to be profitable. You want them to rank advance. You want them to get a big win out of this effort, and that's going silver, because they're going to make some money. They're going to get some attention. They're going to get recognition. They're going to feel like they have some status in the business. That's going to get them further interested and involved because now they have a result. And that result is something that they have experienced as a passenger. This information, when reviewed in playback after they have gone silver with your help, with your coordination, they'll look at it and they'll go, oh, I see. That's what we were doing. That's why I went silver. That's how I got it done. And they won't know that until after it's done. So don't even worry about it. This is something you as the upline, as the sponsor, needs to know. This is your plan for them. They're seeing this for the first time in this presentation as a spectator, not as somebody who's gone through this exercise. So you're showing them what we're going to do, but it's not registering on the core level yet. It's only until they're in the game will they start to understand this whole thing. So don't worry about it, that they need to understand. I don't agree with that theology. They don't need to understand. You need to understand as the upline, because you're the one coordinating this play. They just need to know how to contact and invite people the right way to get them interested enough to learn about Nikken and go through this process. So keep them focused on what they need to be focused on. Don't distract them with what you need to be focused on. You need to coordinate the activities so that they get this done. They need to be focused on finding their partners and doing it in a way that's allowing their reputation to be enhanced and not detracted from. That's where that contact and invite process comes in. All right, so we're looking for 3 partners. How many people do I need to start with to end up with 3? Working backwards, and a rule that we have surmised is unchangeable. It's the rule of thirds. That means I've got to enroll 9 people who say they want this. They join Nikken with some degree of commitment. They enroll, but the ones who actually demonstrate commitment are the ones who do what? They follow through on what we recommended they do, what we influenced them to do. We have a business plan. And our business plan has a defined prescription. So for instance, one of those things is what they will start with, their initial pack purchase. What auto ship, their core nutrition. These are the things that are built into your recipe. This is the choice that you need to make before you exercise, before you launch, is what is it that you're going to replicate? What are you going to duplicate? What are you going to influence people to do? Will everybody do it? No. 9 people will say they will, but only 3 might actually do it. And those are the 3 we focus on. Out of the 9 people who join as a consultant, you're going to also have a number of people who become customers. It's usually a third as well, maybe more. In some cases, it's even higher. So we have 3 people who've joined as a partner, 3 who've joined as a consultant, at least 9 who've joined as a customer, who just become a customer out of this campaign. How many people do we have to inform about Nikken, fully inform the how, and to become a consultant? What did they become? Maybe a source of referrals. Maybe they just became a source of referrals. And so what do we ask them for? A name. And you will learn this in the contact and invite, that it's part of your contact and invite invitation to tell them up front, this may not be for you. However, as you go through this information, someone may come to mind. Please make a note of that. If you can't help me directly by partnering with me, perhaps you can help me indirectly by leading me to the person who would be better suited. You ask that up front so that when you come back to that person, it's not going to be a shocker. And you've also focused their attention on finding why this is a good idea, if not for themselves, for somebody else. So there's the strategy. But to get to 27 people who want to know about Nikken now, who want the solution now, with people being busy. Call me next week, call me in a month, call me with people being busy. How many people do you need to be prepared to contact to get to 27 yeses? Yeah, now, like in the next week or the next 2 weeks. And the answer is 81. And that's about 3 to 5 calls a day if you do this over the course of 3 weeks. 3 to 5 calls per day over the course of 2 to 3 weeks, where you've made enough calls and reached out or text message, however you communicate with people, that you've got at least 27 people in the process of learning about Nikken in this 3 week span. If you do this over a longer period of time, a 6 week span, a 9 week span, just notice there is a difference in the change. You're not changing the recipe. It's like you're changing the temperature at which you're baking the cake. It does have an effect. This thing bakes at a high temperature best. And a high temperature is all in, explode your business for the next 30 to 90 days. And you'll look back with absolute joy and astonishment that you have something that could carry you into the next decade. So I mince no words about this. There's nothing like a launch. Nothing has more power than a launch. It's much more effective and produces bigger results. And all the top income earners in the entire network marketing industry would tell you what I'm telling you if they were being honest with you. So there you have it. There's our campaign. Then we duplicate. We do it, we create our core circle of influence, and then we duplicate. What you're looking here is a strategy chart. It's 2 levels of duplication. I'm going to show you how this rolls out in a minute. The decision. First decision. Culturally, what am I going to do in the business? What am I going to encourage people to do? I need to be the one who does it first. So is it a water pack, an energy pack, a sleep pack? What am I starting with? All 3 packs? Just know this. 1 pack is good. 2 packs is better. 3 packs is best, both for your health and your personal experience, which is what you're going to leverage, and for your system of duplication. And I'm going to show you why. A lot of people, they start with a waterfall and duplicate waterfalls. It's not going to create the big impact that you're looking for, but it will create a starting point. So if you're really on a tight budget, this might be an option. But for me, it's the packs. 1 is good, 2 is better, 3 is best. Now, before I get into the compensation plan, let me just get into it, and I want to get to the exercise of showing you the demonstration here. How much time do we have, by the way, Maggie? You're on mute.
At least 90 minutes total.
Okay,
Great.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. So I show this part of the plan, but I focus on silver because what is happening at silver? Well, the bonuses in retail are somewhere between 20 and 30% of the sale price. I've calculated this based on sale price. The idea of telling people about rebates and overrides and all that, I find very tedious. It just, to me, it's nonsensical that we even talk like that. I think it's really simple. We make 20 to 30% of the sale price depending on your rank. 20% at direct, 30% at silver. The actual number is 31.2% based on a 60% CV. But I'm not going to tell you that. I'm telling you that I've done the calculations and this is what it averages out to. Most people can comprehend this, and we don't need to be nickel and diming them at this level. You just need to know you make between 20 and 30% of sale price depending on your rank. And what is the rank that makes 30%? Silver. So why do we want to help you get to silver? Because you make 30% instead of 20%. That's the only reason. Business bonus. This is the income that we earn on the efforts of others. So as we are enrolling people on our way up to silver, we're going to be earning income on the efforts that they do. What they create is volume. That's our business bonus. That's the small business model. That's 5 to 20%. Where do we earn 20? At silver. So what do I want to help you get silver? Because you earn 20% instead of 5%. That's why. And that's the only reason why. Plus, we have an additional, we accelerate bonus of 20% regardless of rank. So that's as much as 40% on the volume generated by somebody at silver. Why do I want to help you to get silver? Because it's 40% instead of 5% or 25%, whatever. It's the highest pay, no matter whether you're retailing or enrolling. That's why. So now they understand the motivation for why silver is an important place to be in the network. There's another thing that happens at silver. It makes you eligible to start earning network marketing bonuses or leadership bonuses on the team of people you help to get to silver. So why do I want to help you get to silver? Because here you've activated all levels of the compensation plan and you've maximized it on any of the activity that you're going to do in the next 30 to 90 days and beyond. And by the way, I only mention this because we have a plan for these people, and we have special calls and attention to this group of people who make the decision that they're going forward with this. So let me give you the example. The reason I show this example is so that I can show people the difference between the launch with one pack versus multiple packs, so they understand the return on investment. Okay. So let's say you started with a water pack. It's about 600 US. This is an old photo. I've got to update it. About 500 PV in volume. That's your strategy. That's part of your strategy. You're going to duplicate this strategy. That's a choice you're making. It's the first decision you're making as part of the culture of your business. And you launch. The launch is what we just went over. A 30 to 90 day exercise, preferably 30 days. By doing this in those 30 days and generating we accelerate bonuses, you achieve the rank of executive and you earn $1,240. I'll show you where those calculations come from in a minute. That's phase one. Congratulations. You've done a launch, you've campaigned, you've worked your butt off for a mere $1,240. But remember, we're not here for the short haul. We're here for the long haul, because at first it's going to be hard work on you. But as your team grows, as your network grows, it's going to be the benefit of all of their efforts, not just yours. And that's going to be very, very rewarding. So now, what do we do in phase two? Phase two is we help our three partners do what we just did. That's it. Whether you do this in month number 2 or month number 3 or combined, the point is we have a focus, and the focus is to launch our three partners with the same recipe because they signed up for it. Why did they sign up for it? Because they went through this presentation and said, I want to do this. This is what they're signing up for, the launch. What do they make? $1,240 in this launch. This is just based on what you see on the scoreboard. This does not include any other customers that came on. Remember, there were 9 of them in total that we're looking for, or any other people that joined up as consultants. It's not including those numbers. Those are the gravy. That's just gravy on top of this. This is what I'm after, though, the focus. Now, you've advanced in rank to silver. So there is a phase 1, phase 2 movement that you're now going to duplicate. What are you going to do? You're going to take those 3 partners on each of those teams down here and launch them. You and your 3 partners together work to help these 3 people who've joined the team to do this launch and work them together. If they're sitting in the same city, that's easy. Maybe organize some local events where you can gather people up to do the presentations in one location. If in multiple cities, maybe you have to do a few. I remember I had to drive an hour or 2 or sometimes 4 to go to a city to do a launch to help people do some. And when I launched out of country, I usually tried to get all of this done in 3 days. So what I'm suggesting you do in 3 weeks, I gave myself 3 days with my partner leading up to my trip there, because I wanted to make sure that those 3 days were productive, because I was only going to spend 3 days of hotels or whatever to be there. So I wanted to make sure it got done in a short period of time. But this comes with confidence. This comes with knowing what you're doing, what the focus is, and helping your partner adequately prepare for you to launch the business. So that when you show up, you got people in those 3 meetings, generally 8 to 10 people per meeting, and there's your 30 people, and there's a silvership that comes out of that, et cetera, et cetera. So this strategy works, and what I'm repeating to you, I've done. So what else you need to know about this? You've put money in the pockets of your three partners. So there's like, yeah, this is good. They've advanced in rank to executive. Like, yeah, okay, this is good. I think we should duplicate this. What else are you duplicating? Well, all those people, part of your culture is not just to enroll them in a pack, but to also advise them on what it takes to maintain good health if they're serious about it, which is the auto ship. I don't know what your core is. Again, this is a little bit outdated. Our nutrition is now in a different package. Our core nutrition can vital balance. And there might be some people who argue I'd rather have them on the pink collagen as one of the fundamentals, the Greenzymes collagen and the KVB, or it could be the gut formula, the collagen and the KVB, or the gut formula, collagen and the Greenzyme. Pick your culture. Pick what it is that you feel that you can represent strongly and effectively, because this is what you're going to ask people to do. That's your job, is to influence them based on what you're comfortable with. And so your first decision in Nikken as an entrepreneur, before you even set foot on launching, is what is the culture, the tone of your business? What are you going to influence people to buy based on your own personal recommendation and experience? This is based on one pack. Let me show you how it changes. By the way, that auto ship through this group of people, as you recall, is where that $500 a month in income comes from. It's people who are purchasing these core, which is about 100 CV in monthly purchases. So now you got a business that not only rewarded you $1,240 to launch. By the way, I didn't mention how much you earn helping your three partners launch. You earn an income on that. It's not calculated for a reason, but it's in there. You earn money helping your three partners launch. And then, of course, there's this residual effect of, back up, of people on auto ship. So you got a business that you made money building, and you got a business that you continue to make money because you built it. Now, next level, what if we started with two packs? Example, the energy pack and the sleep pack. Combined, it's about $2,100 investment. 1,500 PV as your strategy. That's your strategy, your culture that you're going to replicate and influence. Same people, only now you're changing what you're influencing them to do because you've done it. And you feel confident that they should do it too because you can speak to it. Same activity, same effort, same people, different level of commitment. There's a pretty nice paycheck. What's your return? Well, if you've invested $2,100 and you've earned $5,100, you've doubled your money, more than doubled your return. And for a lot of businesses, you don't see those kind of returns for decades, definitely for years. But imagine this is your strategy for your first 30 to 90 days. This is your focus. This is your strategy. You rank advanced to silver based on this model, which is higher than executive. And then what do we do in phase two? Help them get that $5,100 check. That advances you to gold, them to silver. So all we changed here was what we're influencing people to buy based on the decision that we made for ourselves. That's why this decision is important. One pack is good. Two packs is better. Three packs is ideal. You can imagine. Now, remember, what doesn't change is our core nutrition. Everybody on the core nutrition has to be part of our culture, has to be part of our agenda. And that's where that passive income comes from, that residual ongoing reproductive income. So now what I've shown you is a business model to create an income building it and to create an income for having built it based on the launch strategy, based on inviting people to learn about Nikken through those three conversations. If you want, I can show you the numbers of how we arrive at that. So this is the chart where the numbers were calculated. So let's take, for instance, the water pack. No, let's go here. This one is the first one I showed you. Or is it here? Here it is. Yeah, water pack. Oops, back up. So the water pack, you have 3 customers that purchase at retail. There's the compensation plan pay. That's the income. And you advance in rank to senior. Then 2 more customers buy the water pack. There's the retail amount, income. There's the comp or amount and income, and there's your total. Then you've got people who enroll first as a direct. They're direct because they bought the water pack. And there's your compensation plan. But because there's the We Accelerate bonus, $247.80. Look at how big that bonus is compared to the comp plan. $247.80 is your bonus, your We Accelerate bonus on 3 people purchasing the water pack as a consultant. On top of the $99.20 from the comp plan, and you're advanced, you're still executive. So if you add all that up, there's your income, $1,240.75. You've basically doubled your investment with the water pack purchase. If you do the energy pack and the sleep pack, same type of a scenario, randomly 3 customers buy, then you've got maybe a direct, a couple of them, maybe another one joins, then you got another few customers. This creates your 5 customers, your 2 consultants who purchase the energy and sleep pack. Why? Because that's what you're recommending. If you're not making that recommendation, you're not duplicating something. So part of the duplication is to duplicate what it is that you're recommending. So it's really, really important that you follow through on the idea of the core circle of influence, that it's not just a way to organize your activities into an outcome, but the outcome has to be more defined. What am I influencing this core circle of influence to do? I'm influencing them to enroll in Econ either as a customer or as a consultant, and to partner with me, those who choose to partner with me, and in all cases, to invest in the products that I invested in.
Lynn has a question, Michael.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you, Michael. I've been focusing, of course, knowing the compensation plan for a while. In your previous slide, when you showed the difference between the water pack and the 2 packs, and the income really sort of hit me right in the head, or really hit me how profoundly larger the results are. As a suggestion, I would love to have a little bit more expansion, not necessarily right now from you, but I think I'm missing to convey that message to my potential customers because we're shy to open up asking for a larger investment. And I just noticed it in that slide, and I love to be more comfortable talking about that when I'm talking about potential income for someone. Are you following my thought?
Yeah, I'm totally following you. You know, my daughter Sophia, when we had lunch with Louis here in Toronto when he was here, she said to him, "I would like a pack that's at least $5,000 because for me, selling a $5,000 pack makes a hell of a lot more sense than trying to sell a $500 pack. It's going to take the same work, the same effort. The difference is the pay." All of a sudden now, $5,000 pack is over $1,000 in retail commissions alone. And now that creates a reason for me to want to sell it. In other words, when there's money to be made, the more money there is to be made, the more likely somebody is going to want to make it and go after it. And all that stands between you making this recommendation is you. The person doesn't know. Let me finish. Let me finish. They don't know what they're buying or why they're buying it until you tell them what they're buying and why they're buying. So you decide what that is. Are you selling the cheapest car on the lot, or are you selling the highest price car on the lot if you're a salesperson selling cars? Because you may offer the highest price car but they may bring you down. But at least you're coming down from the highest price. You're not trying to go up from the lowest price. So effective sales is sell what you got, Sell the best thing you got and work from there. And what's the best you got? Well, the best you got is an Nikken wellness home. That's a big chunk. And most people aren't going to invest in an entire wellness home. That's every product. So pick a pack, pick two, pick three. That's what you do, because then once you have done it, you can at least stand on that ground. This is what I did for me and my family. I highly recommend you do this for you and your family. Now, they may say no. That's fine. Your job is not to question that. It's to offer. I'll give you another example, simple illustration. Linda Proctor, I don't know you guys remember that name. She had lunch. She was in real estate. And when she first met Bob, she had lunch with Bob, and he asked her how much she was making. Not an uncommon thing for Bob to do. He did that with me. How much are you making? And I believe at that time it was 20 something thousand dollars as a realtor in that year. Okay. It's 27, 29, something like that. She made it in that year. And he said, I want you to do two things from now on. From now on, I just want you to do two things and two things only. I want you to show up at your first meeting at 9 a.m. every day. And the second thing is I want you to ask everybody you meet with to buy a $100,000 insurance policy. Now, they may not buy it, but I want you to ask. That next year, the very next year, that year, she made $497,000. Now, did she change, or did she just change her method of operation? What she was offering, what she was pitching, okay? And that's all I'm saying. That's all you need to change.
That really was impactful for me after all this time. And what I also felt, Michael, respect and confidence. We are respecting our Nikken products. We're respecting the confidence. And as a result, why am I afraid to show someone that they can make $5,000 instead of $1,200 by doing pretty well the same work? I have a call at 12:30, so thank you for that. So I'm going to have to come off. I have a Nikken call. Thank you, guys,
Okay.
and thank you for that.
Paula?
Second. When Bob was heavily involved, we had a wellness home pack, and it was around $5,000, because if you bought the wellness home pack, you got his lead the field thing, right? And I know a couple of people who got involved with Nikken just because of the wellness home pack, so they could get the lead the field pack,
Right. And there's another question then. What are you prepared to offer as a sponsor, as a support system for that customer if they do that? Maybe you should add that in your offer. If you do this, I will do this. Let me tell you something. That's typical in sales, right? I mean, that is sales 101. And so, which is why I keep emphasizing, what's the culture you're going to duplicate? You have to choose that up front, because duplication starts with your DNA. So what's the DNA of your business? What is it that your business is going to promote? Now, everything is on the table, but what are you going to promote? That's very specific. And the more general you make it, the less chances are you're going to get what you want. I'll tell you something. There's a guy, if you want to read something or watch anybody, videos, this guy here, Alex Hormozi, $100 million offers. This guy keeps telling us the same thing over and over, and proves it every time in business. He's coaching and mentoring businesses. In fact, your business has to make $30 million before he'll even consider coaching you. Your business has to already arrive at that. So he gives you the education for free to build your business up to 30 million, and then he wants to talk to you. He helps you build a business to prospect you to the next level. Brilliant. So this guy talks about this all the time, and he shows an example in his example. He has a program that they sold at 3 different prices, the same program. So they pitched the program using their social media techniques. The same program, 3 different prices. One price was $19.97. The second price was 197, and the third price was 1,970. The same product. Now, and the pitch is a little bit more refined because this product, the 1997, is anybody who likes this idea, this is what the price is. So he's pitching it to a general audience. But by the time he gets to the $1,970 pitch, he's talking specifically to one person he has in mind. He's so clearly identified who he's talking to that here's what happens. They sell less of these, of course, at 1,970 because the person is very specific than they do at 1997. But they make way more money on this offer to fewer people than they do on this offer to more people. So if you're in business to make money, which way do you go? Obviously, fewer people, bigger offer. But you have to be specific about who you're talking to. That's why in the culture, when I refer to culture of your business, I'm talking about what do you want to represent? It's your business. Nikken is the blank page. It's the blank sheet. We got people selling Nikken doing just nothing but social media. We got people selling Nikken doing nothing but search engine optimization. What's your culture going to be? What's your thing going to be? What are you going to be the person known for? And who are you specifically targeting so that when you start identifying who you're looking for very, very clearly, the law of attraction will attract to you that person. But when it's a generality, it's just that. It's a lot of people with nothing concrete, nothing hits home. It's a lot of effort, a lot of work for nothing. But when you're very particular about what you're after, who you want to enroll, who you want to work with, what you're saying to the universe out loud is, this is who I want to be with. This is who I want to identify with. I don't need a lot. I need 3 people like that. Only 3 people like that very thing. So if you clearly identify who you want to partner with, very clearly, you spend 99% of your time disqualifying people, which is a lot more easy to do than trying to figure out if they qualify. I'd rather rule them out than spend more time with them when they're going to just be that person who's not an ace. So I need a process that filters out the people who aren't going to be the decision makers, that filters out the people who aren't committed to wellness, that filters out the people who don't really want to make money. They just talk about it. I need a process that filters people out. That's why there's a process, there's a system. It's actually to filter out to get to who you need to invest your time and energy in. And we are up at 90-minute mark.
Thank you, Michael. I have a customer coming in 5 minutes, so this is great. And wow, thank you, thank you. You are brilliant. You deliver beautifully, and I'm inspired again. So anybody have any last minute comments or questions?
This all makes sense, and I agree with Lynn. I have my aha moment. But thank you, Mike.
You're welcome. We may want to get this recording on the you can send it to me and I'll figure out a way to keep it on the QT, just a link we can share.
Okay, and I'm gonna publish it on our Canada expansion team.
Okay.
And then you'll be on that, so you'll get that.
Okay, cool. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you, everybody.